This is a video of me trying to learn the Blender grease pencil, and I hope you enjoy it. It's also a video where I'll be sketching my character again because I can't think of anything original, and because she's fun to draw. But as for why I am using the Blender grease pencil, well, I was thinking about learning how to animate eventually, potentially, but I went ahead and consumed a lot of videos on how to use the grease pencil and animate it and stuff, but in this video I'm really just focusing on how to use the grease pencil and trying to figure out the tools and the drawing aspect of that. I'm not going to get into any animating today, not anytime soon probably, but at least I can practice using the tools in the software. So I tried to approach how I went about drawing this the same way I would approach doing something in Illustrator, and I'm not an expert at illustration or anything like that. But I'm going to start here with just a quick sketch, a very poor sketch, and then I can add more layers to start adding on the actual shapes. Usually when I do an illustration in Illustrator, for example, I tend to work with a lot of layers or a lot of different shapes. And something that is kind of annoying in the grease pencil is if you want to have more freedom of moving shapes around like above or below each other, you have to have them each on a separate layer. So trying to stay organized and keeping every little thing on a separate layer is a bit annoying, but it still is possible in a free software, so I really can't complain about that, I suppose. Of course, I have to remind myself that we're also working in a 3D space, so I could theoretically move them along the correct axis and push it closer to the viewer or further away to layer them, but that's kind of a hassle too. Also, I just want to point out I did not realize that you can auto-lock all the inactive layers in your layers panel, because that would have saved me so much hassle, but I didn't find that out till after I recorded this video. So I'm sure there's a lot of things that are available to me I'm just not aware of that will make my workflow easier. I also get annoyed in Blender how all the tools are just spread out and you have to constantly switch back and forth between different modes to do different things. I mean, that's normal for any software, but I guess the shortcuts are always long or kind of very similar, so then I always end up pushing the wrong one. I don't know, they just all get muddled in my brain and I can never remember which shortcut is what, or I accidentally push the wrong one all the time. Oh, and something about the grease pencil is I kept finding myself accidentally pushing the spacebar and playing the timeline, so I just made sure to make my frames start and end at frame 0 so it wouldn't move when I did that. I don't know if there's a better way to disable that, but that worked for me. I also think that trying to stay organized with everything is a little trickier to do in Blender, or at least it feels like it's more time consuming. Maybe that's just me. But it's also very necessary to rename all your layers and your materials and make sure you know what is what. I was doing a pretty good job keeping all my layers separated at the beginning, but then towards the end I ended up meshing a bunch of stuff together on one layer because I was getting lazy, but this was just an experiment to learn the tools. I did want to talk a little more about the materials panel. I was kind of skeptical whether I would like that or not at first, just because it does take an extra organization in renaming things, which is just time consuming, but for me absolutely necessary, otherwise I won't know what is what. But I do like that once a material is assigned to an object, it just keeps it, so you can always edit the material and it will just edit everything that has that material assigned to it, which is really nice. So it makes recoloring things so much easier, even if it does take more setup. In the long run, I think it's more worth it. Let's see, what else did I like about it? I liked that you can do masking, but you just have to make sure if you want to mask one layer or clip it with another layer, you have to make sure they're on separate layers. So that's just something you have to think ahead if you really, really want that. I only did that for the eyes. I think that would be the most obvious thing to use it for, so that the pupils stay within the eye area. I also really like the ability to sculpt the layers and deform them that way. I also like the ability to affect the stroke thickness and the strength. So I could either make the stroke fade away or taper to nothing, or I could have it fade away with the strength by lowering that. I do like how easy that is and how it's easy to reverse too. It might take me a while to figure out all the things I can do or what is hidden in all of the settings, but once I know what I can do, I think it'll be a lot more enjoyable to know that I'm not limited to just what I know is available to me. Okay, and the last thing that I really wanted to touch on was the ability to add gradients and textures, and I did already add some gradients to this before, but now I wanted to try adding some textures to some of my materials instead. So what I did is I just created a texture in Photoshop, then loaded it in here, and I like that you can reposition it and stuff. It is a little bit hard to tell where the position is, but you can always look at the material preview to get a preview of where it's positioned and such. So that is helpful. And I do think it adds a lot to the design. I could have added more in the hair or other parts. I think I only added texture to the skin and the legs here, but I was just experimenting, and I think it looks really cool with a mixture of the textures and the flat colors. I'll have to figure out the best way to utilize this in the future. I can't say for sure if this workflow is any faster than another software, probably not, but it can do a lot of the same things that professional softwares can use, although I will say that Blender is a professional software, it can be, but it's free. So if you ever need a free software that can do all these amazing things, yeah, just get Blender, it's great. I didn't even touch on how you can also rig this and animate it in here if I really wanted to, but I'm not gonna get into any of that because that's all above my head. I don't think I am ready to do that kind of thing. But I had fun, at least designing a character. Maybe I'll do more drawings in here. We'll see. I hope you liked that video, and I hope you found it useful, maybe? I don't know, I'm just kind of learning and showing you what I'm learning, and maybe it will inspire you to do the same. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you later. Bye!